The Accidental Entrepreneur is produced by Beinhacker Law and brought to you through our affiliate relationships with the following sponsors. One of One Productions, the New Jersey-based podcast studio that produces and edits both audio and video podcasts. They sell equipment for the average podcaster and have even created a guesting kit exclusively for our listeners. North Authentic, the conscious hair care marketplace offering the cleanest brands from around the world. The Healthy Place, the e-commerce site with thousands of supplements to help you live a healthier life, along with natural solutions for chronic pain, stress, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, and much, much more. And be sure to support the podcast by ordering some logo merchandise from our online store. Listen to all of our sponsors' commercials later in this episode and follow their links in the show notes to learn more about their products and services.
We should be rotating our high proteins every 4 days.
Yeah, I'm sure. You shouldn't be eating the same protein all the time, right?
You shouldn't be eating the same protein every day. So for example, a lot of people that I come across eat eggs every day.
Right.
Or they'll eat
or they have a turkey sandwich for lunch every day, or they, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta rotate your high proteins, but I'll get into that.
Yeah.
So winds it up that the first recommendation she gave me, and I was like, all right, am I a believer in this? And it's funny because I had come across her website 6 months earlier and I didn't believe it.
You thought you'd quack a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, right.
Come on.
I can heal naturally.
Right.
What? No way. With whole foods?
You read
no
tarot
way.
cards with your dog too, that.
Right. So I winded up, I said, I got to give this a shot. I had no other alternatives left.
Yeah.
Winded up that she told me, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to start get a organic zucchini if you can find it, and a stalk of celery. Take about a couple of tablespoons, because it depends on the weight, couple of tablespoons of pureed raw zucchini and celery.
Okay.
And the mixture of these two vegetables are so powerful. They add a lot of sodium back into your dog's diet as well as their body, and also minerals.
The information provided in these episodes is for entertainment purposes only. It is not a guarantee of success or to be construed as advice of any kind. You should always seek advice from local licensed professionals before making any decisions.
The dictionary defines an entrepreneur as a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. People often start a business without much choice, perhaps due to a job loss or just being dissatisfied at work, and they come up with an idea they just know can be successful. They become entrepreneurs by accident. That is to say, their success or failure happens by accident, not with intention. My name is Mitch Beinhacker. I'm a corporate attorney and a business advisor. You're listening to The Accidental Entrepreneur, my podcast about how to achieve success on purpose, not by accident. Join me along with our monthly guests where we share our knowledge and help you get a hold of your business. And now on to today's episode.
Hi, my name is Emanuela Visone. I am a certified life and health coach and soon to be functional nutritionist. I help people as well as their pets overcome many chronic ailments naturally.
Okay, so here we are. Is it Emanuela or is it Manuela?
Emanuela.
Emanuela. Okay, so I won't get that wrong. Emanuela. And I think Nikki introduced us, right? She connected us. Yeah, I love Nikki. I'm always doing stuff with her, and yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
but
she really is.
I thought, I talk to a lot of, I've had, health and wellness people on, and I've had a guy who owns a chain of stores out in the Midwest that sell, natural, naturopathy products, natural products. But I thought it was unique, not only your story, which we're going to get into, but also you work with pets too. You don't just work with people, which I find unique.
Yes.
And we all have pets who have stomach problems, who have this, who have that. That my dog itches all. Of course, she's 13 and blind, but she's always got itches. She's got like skin problems. It's crazy. So I want to hear the story as to how you got into that and how you do that. But maybe we go back to the beginning of your career and your training and kind of what your path was to get to, because that's what I usually do on the podcast. So let's get through the whole, who is Emanuela?
I'm going to share everything with you. And I'm really, really happy to be here with you.
Good. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
On this snowy Friday.
It's not that bad. Thank God in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know. It all kind of went away. I just was outside. Yeah. Not so bad. So.
Okay. So how did dog IBS and then eventually Embody Vitality come to be? Well, that really stemmed from my dog, Sonnie. He was my pride and joy. He actually passed away 3 years ago next month. And he really was my muse. He literally taught me how to naturally heal the body. And it started with his IBS. So,
which is irritable bowel syndrome. We all have stomach problems, as they say.
Yes.
Now, if I remember right, Sonnie was a St. Bernard, a big dog, right?
Yes. Huge dog, 125 pounds. We'll get into, he was beautiful. He really was. Like people would literally come down my block just to see him.
Yeah.
And the kids used to flock to him.
Yeah. Yeah. They're big teddy bears.
Yeah, he really did. He brought a lot of joy into my life, and I was blessed to have him for 9 years. So, and I really feel that in healing his irritable bowel syndrome, I was able to have another 5 years with him, because starting from when he was a puppy and just going a little bit before that, getting into that, I was a recruiter in the finance industry for over 20 years.
Okay.
And I still dabble in it a little bit, but I was a recruiter for MetLife, and then
so salespeople, insurance people, investment people, the whole 9 yards.
Yes. Okay. I was recruiting financial advisors, life insurance, wealth management. Then with the same general agent, I went to another company, and I was with him for 15 years. So I really loved what I did. But over the years, and I think more so as the industry kind of changed in like around maybe 2016, 17, I started to lose my passion for it.
Yeah. A little burnout, maybe little
burnout. Definitely hard to find people who have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And again, listen, people have families, and whatever suits them is totally fine. But I was really getting a little bit burnt out. So, and I was trying to really figure out, what did I want to do with my life? I've been doing this for over 20 years. What could I possibly do in my mid-40s that would spark the passion in me again?
Yeah. It's hard to do when you hit your 40s and 50s, right? It's like, what am I going to do? How can I change what I'm doing? But I'm not happy. And I think the pandemic kind of woke some people up to make some decisions. But yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I don't know if midlife crisis is the right word, but you get at this point in your life, right, where you're just doing the same thing all over again. You don't want to do it for the rest of your life. You don't have the passion for it anymore. And I know I work in the business. My father was in the life insurance business in 65. So I know that industry. And yeah, you could really get burned out, and it becomes a revolving door, people coming and going and all that stuff. So I got to hand it to you for, making a change, or even looking for what really could give you passion. So
absolutely. And for me, I called it not so much a midlife crisis, but for me, it was an awakening.
Yeah.
It really was. Term. It was scary, because obviously, I'm branching off.
Right? Yeah,
absolutely. So in my mid-40s, I came across an opportunity, whereas I went independent as a recruiter.
Okay.
And I had great luck with that, because a lot of companies wanted me. And because of the fact that I was always a captive recruiter, I was never able to work with other companies.
So before that, you were kind of like in an agency for MetLife. It was only MetLife recruiting. Okay.
MetLife, then National Life.
Oh, sure. National
Same
Life
GA though.
Right.
Yeah. Same GA.
Oh, he switched.
GA. He switched over.
Got it.
So, and he was an amazing mentor for me. All those years taught me and made me into they used to call me a tiger with recruiting. So he definitely made me into what I was. But then fast forward, I just did not find passion in it anymore. And then I got my dog, Sonnie, in 2010. Oh, so
that was after. Oh, no, you said 2016. You were kind of burnt out,
he was
right?
sick.
So you had the dog already. Okay.
Oh, I already had the dog. He was, in 2010. I got him when he was about a month and a half old. So but he had stomach issues from the get-go.
Yeah, dogs do. I don't know what it is. The little ones have different problems than the big son. Yeah, I'm sure it has a lot to do with it, right?
It is absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
even the good stuff, even the stuff that's like more, less sodium and more fresh, it's still coming off of a machine or in a factory, right? I mean,
it's still processed.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going out for filet mignon, taking our dogs to a restaurant. So
right. It's still processed. You don't know how long it's been sitting there. It's got synthetically made chemicals and
preservatives, right? To make it last
and
long.
Preservatives. Sure. And it doesn't really have, when I outline to people, this is the ingredients in your dog's dog food. In red are all the things that are not real food. Literally, anything that's left there's nothing left. There's nothing left. Yeah. So I try to educate people. Yeah. And 2 years, he was 2 years old, always diarrhea, constant diarrhea. Yeah. I would bring him to the vet. He would be on metrazole or Flagyl or something to stop the diarrhea. And you just gave him dog food. Like, it wasn't like you were feeding crap on the table.
No, he getting diarrhea, eating ice cream and stuff, right?
Yeah, I won't mention the dog foods, but we don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
But he was on all these different commercial dog foods. Yeah. And I literally was trying my best to figure out what was going on. And it was driving me nuts. And my vet kept saying to me, it's not the commercial dog food. It's definitely something in his body. The commercial dog food is the most balanced that you can get. It's got vitamins and all that. And I was a believer. My vet could never do any wrong.
Right.
And then finally, when he was 4, we were playing in the park. He was playing with his canine buddies. We came home. It was July 18th. And I'll never forget that day. I think it was 2004 or 5. And all of a sudden he started panting and he was in distress. And I always kept in my mind, large dogs bloat.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Right. The minute I saw that he was panting and crying and whimpering and moving back and forth, I was like, oh my God, let me feel his stomach. And the minute I felt his belly, it was expanded. It was hard. And from his left side, I felt something sticking out. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is going on?
What did he eat?
I knew nothing. He just drank water when he came home. Oh. He came home from the park.
I thought canine bloats when the dogs get into the cabinet and they eat a whole bag of food, their stomach flips. No?
But it wasn't bloat. Huh. His stomach flipped just from the water. Just from drinking water.
So it was twisted now, right?
It was twisted.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. I thought it was bloat initially. I took him like speed lightning. I was to the emergency room because I knew time was of the essence. Yeah. And we got there. They took him in. They said to me, his stomach twisted. We have to take him in for emergency surgery. They took him in 3 hours later. Thank God. I mean, literally, it was, I was bawling, crying my eyes out. Right. 3 hours later, the surgery was over. They had to remove his spleen.
Yeah.
Because his spleen started to die off.
Because usually
everything twists. Nice. Because their stomach, basically, us, our organs are all attached.
Yeah. They're all hanging
so
there.
So because big dogs, their stomachs flop around.
Yeah.
That's why it easily twists.
Yeah.
So they did the surgery. They did the gastropexy procedure, which is that they tacked his stomach to his abdominal wall.
Oh, so that's what they do?
They do.
So it doesn't flip anymore.
But yes.
Causes other problems.
It causes colitis, IBS.
Ugh.
In a lot of instances. And again, it saves his life in one sense, but then
gives him other really
problems. Because it disrupted the natural flow of his stomach.
Yeah, makes sense. Sure.
Right. So from that point forward, diarrhea every day, vomiting started, waking up in the middle of the night, pacing the floors, loud gurgling noises, him whimpering. I was giving my dog Gas X.
Yeah.
That immediately
like
stopped.
Tums, right? Basically.
Yeah, Gas X, because I knew he had gas.
Yeah.
But I knew he couldn't live like this. This was not because everyone needs acid in your stomach.
Yeah, of course. That's what digests your food.
That's right. So I knew I was, again, stopping the gas, but I was depleting the natural gases in his stomach, and that was creating more havoc. So for 2 years after that, I was lost. I went through so many sleepless nights of figuring out to myself that I was going to lose my dog, because eventually what happened was he started to get blood in his stool.
Yeah. Now his system's breaking down and he's having problems.
Yep. So that's when, again, I took him to the ER for another time. They told me he's got irritable bowel syndrome. I said, what could I do? They were like, there's really nothing you can do.
Right.
You can put him on meds, but what's that going to,
right.
He's a dog. And I really didn't want that. I did not want that. So I researched for 2 years. I mean, literally, I took him to a holistic vet. She liked the fact that at that point, I started cooking his foods. I was boiling his chicken, mixing in carrots and celery.
So all natural, fresh.
Yes.
It's funny. People won't take care of themselves. They won't eat right, but they will go out of their way, to get meat from the field and cook it special for their dog. And it's pretty funny.
Right.
Right.
I would have done anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was my kid. Yeah. So I was cooking for him. That was helping. But I was like, okay, this is not it. He was still getting he was still waking up in the middle of the night with distress.
Yeah.
And he still had diarrhea, but not as much. He still had mucousy stool. He was still vomiting. So, but again, it wasn't as bad. So when I went to the holistic vet, she was like, I like what you're doing with the homemade cooking. She goes, but you have to take the rice out. So
how many holistic vets are there?
There aren't that many. I only found one. I'm in Brooklyn.
Yeah, we're in a populous area, tri-state area, right?
Right.
Okay.
She was in Colts Neck, New Jersey.
Yeah, down.
So I drove an hour and a half, to get to her.
Horse country.
Yes, love it. Love it. Take me to court. That's where I want to be.
That's where Bruce Springsteen lives. He lives in Colts Neck. Has some
really?
Like $50 million property or something. He's into horses. And I think his daughter was on the equestrian riding team for the Olympics this year, or whenever the last Olympics we had.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's into horses.
So interesting.
But we're getting off the topic. So, but there's a hospital down there, some special hospital like near Red Bank. Down in near Colts Neck, right? It's some crazy. Yeah.
And that's not where I went. You went to this person. She's got her own holistic practice, right?
Got it.
And she started to give me remedies for him.
Okay.
And I gave him the remedies, and they were causing him to get anxious.
This was like a natural
remedies that she was making with herbs.
And I got it. Like we do. Correct. For people. Okay.
For people. Right. Yeah. So, but that was making him disoriented. It was, he was having adverse effects to it. So that again was not the solution that I was looking for. And one night on a Sunday, I was crying my eyes out, and I was like, and I just said it out loud. And I said, God, please lead my hands to who's going to give me the solution that I'm looking for, because I got to help him. Right. I can't see him suffering anymore. It was really stressing
but at this point, you didn't even know if there was a solution, right? I mean,
right. I didn't.
That's a big problem with things, right? You don't really know. Yeah.
Right. So I didn't know what the solution was, but something in my gut kept telling me to push forward, not to give up, not to, my vet wanted to have me have him.
Your regular
my regular vet wanted me to have him do an endoscopy and colonoscopy. And I was like, I really don't want to put my dog through that.
Right.
I don't know, but I just felt like I really didn't want to do that yet. So that blessed night, I winded up Googling a woman who had a website on healing dogs from colitis.
Okay.
And at that point,
now you're still working though you haven't changed your career yet, right? This is
I was
going
still a recruiter.
On while you're still recruiting.
Yep.
Right. You haven't gotten to that business portion of it yet. Okay. So,
but I will tell you one thing.
That was a good story. I want to hear the whole story.
Yeah. And I will tell you one thing, that I actually shifted working. Because of the fact that he was in so much distress, and he was so attached to me So it was hard for me to get walkers for him.
Yeah.
I literally changed I winded up starting to work at that point 3 days from home, actually 3 days in the office and 2 days from home, because I needed the flexibility with him. And thankfully I did have somebody who my employer at that point was the best.
Okay.
So I called her up on a Sunday. I told her what was going on, and I apologized for even interrupting her on a Sunday. And she was so gracious, so helpful. From the first solution, or actually first recommendation that she gave me, which was to start adding, because I was already cooking for him, right?
Yeah.
So she goes, and I had taken out the brown rice, because dogs cannot break down. They don't have the digestive system to break down the grains.
Got it. That's why you
And
see a lot of
neither do
foods that are
humans.
grain-free, right? That's because a lot of dogs are allergic to it and they can't deal with it.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
But you're not even feeding him dog food at this point, right? Processed.
No, I was. I completely shifted. I was cooking him chicken every day, celery with parsley and carrots. But again, as I learned, carrots, when you cook them, they turn into sugar.
Right. And it's too much sugar.
You're literally, when I was cooking his foods, I was taking all the nutrients out of it.
Right.
So it was like feeding him something that was dead.
And some of those things are very hypoglycemic. Yeah. So.
Right. And there was no enzymes to them. Raw foods, raw meats, they have enzymes to them. So that's the reason why a lot of dog owners put their dogs on raw.
Like we can't eat raw things, but we can. Yeah.
Well, actually, we can as far as plant-based, but as far as meats go, obviously, yes.
Get contaminated.
Yes. And also like sushi, we shouldn't eat a lot of sushi. It's very high in parasites.
Right.
So even though I love sushi, but
me too, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all right.
So going back, seriously, a lot of it. A lot of it.
Oh boy.
So,
but does he have the same problems? Like, let's say chicken was bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't
bad.
Salmonella. Doesn't affect the dog, or can he get sick from that? Pork has bad pork.
I never gave my dog pork. I would give him chicken. I gave him
raw chicken?
I was lightly steaming it on the stove.
Okay.
But you could give it to them raw as long as you're getting it from an organic source and you're keeping it frozen until you want to use it.
Yeah, be careful.
And then I would absolutely, you just got to be careful. But I would lightly steam it because I always wanted to get the cold out of it for him.
Got it.
So I would lightly leaving it bloody. It was still bloody. Okay. So he loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Drool, like literally, there would be drops of drool.
Yeah.
So I was rotating his meats every 30 days. So he would get, because even like people, we should be rotating our high proteins every 4 days.
Yeah, I'm sure. You shouldn't be eating the same protein all the time, right?
You shouldn't be eating the same protein every day. So for example, a lot of people that I come across eat eggs every day.
Right.
Or they'll eat
have a turkey sandwich for lunch every day, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta rotate your high proteins, but I'll get into that.
Yeah.
So winds it up that the first recommendation she gave me, and I was like, all right, am I a believer in this? And it's funny because I had come across her website 6 months earlier and I didn't believe it.
You thought you'd quack a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, right.
Come on.
I can heal naturally.
Right.
No way. With whole foods.
To read tarot cards with your dog too, that.
Right. So I winded up. I said, I got to give this a shot. I had no other alternatives left.
Yeah.
Winded up that she told me the first thing I want you to do is I want you to start get a organic zucchini if you can find it, and a stalk of celery. Take about a couple of tablespoons, because it depends on the weight, couple of tablespoons of pureed raw zucchini and celery.
Okay.
And the mixture of these two vegetables are so powerful. They add a lot of sodium back into your dog's diet as well as their body, and also minerals.
Huh. But still raw. You just chopped it up.
Raw.
Mashed it up.
No, I did it right in a magic bullet. I added water.
But you didn't cook
I added a little water. No, added a little water. I started to, now at this point, my dog had diarrhea every day for 4 months.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Yeah, because it does havoc on his system, just like us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started to add the tables within days, 2 days. The mucus out of his stool started to disappear, and his stool started to become more formed.
So you just added it to the meat or whatever in the bowl?
I just added it to his like the chicken, the carrots, and the celery, and whatever I made for him cooked. I just started to add it into that. And then when I started to see that the mucus started to disappear and his stool started to become more formed, I was like, oh my God, this is working. And she also gave me a magic tea recipe.
Magic tea. Oh, I like
yes. Yeah. And I actually give it to people as well as pet owners. And it's made with caraway seeds, fennel seeds, anise seeds, and fresh ginger. Very easy to make. You just boil about 2 dime sizes of ginger. And I would make it fresh all the time. But you can also keep it in the fridge and then just heat it up back on the stove. And then I would get like a few shakes of each seed, obviously strain out the seeds and the ginger. And I would get a syringe and I started to give it to my dog throughout the day. And that helped with clearing out any gas, really calming his stomach down, relaxing his muscle spasms that he was having in his stomach.
Huh. And so you squirted it in his mouth because you couldn't like say, here, drink this.
No, because obviously he needs to, he was a little stubborn with that.
Right.
But I was just like, I'm the boss, I rule, and you're going to listen to me. So, and now instead of giving him the gas X at night, I had a remedy the minute he started to get those loud gurgly noises as he was healing, I would squirt that tea and it was like magic. His stomach would settle right down.
Huh. Does it work for humans?
Yeah. And it does. It works for humans too.
Okay. Because I don't want people listening. If it's a dog recipe and they shouldn't be. Okay.
Absolutely not. They should definitely use it without a doubt.
Don't eat raw chicken though.
No, do not. Do not.
Don't do that. Exactly.
No. Or any raw meats for that matter.
But you still hadn't at that point had any experience with human homeopathy at that, right? Okay.
No.
Right.
So then with obviously going through the natural healing process with him, now at this point, I was no longer boiling his food altogether. I was pureeing all raw vegetables at this point.
Got it.
And I was mixing pureed food with his different meats that I was alternating every 30 days that were lightly steamed just to get the cold out of it. Right. And I was giving him, because he was a big dog, so I would give him about 1.5 pounds of meat mixed with raw veggies.
He'd eat it all. Vegetables.
Oh my God, he would eat it all. And I was rotating his veggies too. I would give him, but he was also getting different things throughout the day. I was giving him avocado with mixed with pine nuts pureed in the magic bullet. He would love it, lick it all up. He was getting raw eggs. And I was giving him predominantly the yolk and not the white of the egg. And I would mix that with kami, not the white, because that causes a lot of gas issues. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Well, actually,
because a lot of protein, right? Yeah.
Yes, totally. But also us as humans, we need the yolk of the egg.
Yeah.
It contains special nutrients in the egg.
Right.
Even when you're making an egg, you really don't want to scramble the egg, because the minute that yolk touches the heat, you kind of lose all the nutrients from the yolk.
I make fried eggs. I like them like well done. So
that's good though, because even though you're not breaking the yolk, the yolk is on top. It in. Yeah, absolutely. So it's different. Okay. I mean, like when you scramble it, you kind of lose it, because then it's really getting heated on all sides.
That makes sense. Right.
Right. So at that point, I was giving him a lot of different snacks. I was giving him an egg. No, actually an apple. I would take he was getting smoothies every morning, and I would give him an apple. I would take the skin off. I would give him an apple, a pear, and a banana with almond butter, coconut water, all blended in the magic bullet, but then I would also give him blueberries and strawberries
would eat
with
all that
almond
stuff.
butter. It took me, and again, your dog is not going to be used to this, but once he gets the taste for it, I literally had to like kind of follow my dog around for a little bit. Like when we were kids with our moms walking around with
try this. Yeah.
Yes, try this. And he would turn away from it and I would give it to him in his mouth until one day I just put it in front of him and he sniffed it and he was like, all right. And he licked it up. And I have videos on my YouTube of him waiting for it and crying for it as I'm making it.
Yeah, you changed his taste buds.
Absolutely.
Because I find that smaller dogs, like I grew up with big dogs, Rhodesian Ridgebacks, like, 115 pounds, right? So, but they're very food driven, like, to get them to eat this or that, they'll eat almost anything. The little dog, now I have two small dogs. The one eats cucumbers, like she likes vegetables, cucumbers, peppers, things like that. She won't eat fruit. She doesn't.
Really?
You'd have to, I don't know how to, and they're not very food driven. We leave food out all day, just dry food. And they graze and they go. My dog would have, like you said, would have eaten it and flipped his stomach if you left food out. We used to come home. My mom would feed the dog and forget to tell my father. And my dad would come home, start making food. And the dog would be standing there like, oh my God, I think he's going to feed me again. I'm not going to move. Maybe he'll feed me a whole bowl of food again. And the dog would eat it,
So funny.
But there's a lot of things I put down and the dog's like, her stomach's bothering her that day. She walks away from it, even though, they usually like to slop it up. But yeah,
but I will tell you that
harder with little dogs.
Well, I will tell you, I've actually helped a lot of pet owners with small dogs.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of allergies. Yeah, and they have teeth problems. They have esophagus problems. They have they just throw up for no reason just because their systems are so tiny.
Yeah, and it's the food. Like I said, it's
right. I'm sure. Just your body rejects it, right? So
yes, and also besides the whole foods, my dog was on a ramp up process. I had to get his gut ramped up again and healthy again because he was a mess. Right. So it was a blend of probiotics and enzymes that were micro blended with algae. That is the main component that made them so much stronger. So what the algae does to the probiotics is it literally duplicates the good bacteria.
Makes sense.
And then the enzymes, if you're giving your dogs raw completely, then it's okay not to really give them enzymes, but the more enzymes, the better. We're all born with enzymes, so are dogs. Enzymes really work on breaking down the food, especially proteins, and really have it absorbed into the cellular wall. I don't eat any meals without my enzymes.
Personally, for you.
Me personally, absolutely. And my dog never ate, unless it was raw, like fruits, I would never give him enzymes with anything raw. But if it was his cooked meat, I would. Even though it had the veggies in there that were raw, I would still throw 2 or 3 enzymes on there. And then he was getting microorganic algae. And the microorganic algae, which I started in week 4 of his healing process, right? Because I didn't want to start him more. And this is what she taught me. It's a process. You don't just start everything. You ramp up to a certain amount of probiotics, a certain amount of enzymes. Within like a month, I started to see my dog was just he was thriving again. He wasn't completely healed at that point because depending on how chronic things were in his stomach was going to determine how long the healing process was going to be. In 8 months, he was completely healed. He never had diarrhea again.
Yeah, but so I want people listening to think that this is easy, right? It's not like you just make the stuff, put it down in a bowl, your dog eats it, and the dog's going to be healthy. You have to work at getting the dog. And we will, by the way, people listening, we will follow the journey that took you into a business, basically, where you're now working with people for pets and their own issues. But yeah, I don't want people to think like it is work, if your dog has a problem, you got to get him to eat it. You got to follow him around with your syringe, right? And squirt the stuff in his mouth and
probiotics in the beginning. And sometimes
you don't want anything to do with it, right?
Well, yeah, but you know what? Again, I was the boss. So literally it was so easy for me. People got to realize that,
right? You get to decide what your dog eats. He doesn't get to decide.
That's right. But I also, once he knew first thing in the morning before our walk, he was getting his probiotics on an empty stomach. And it took me literally not even 2 minutes. You mix it with a little water, you put it in the syringe and you squeeze it in their mouth. So I tried to really get things the meals don't take long. My meals, his main meals, literally took me not even 10 minutes.
Right, because you got better at it. It probably took you longer to start, right? You're like, oh.
The first 2 weeks were like, oh, what
like hell, right? Of course.
Yeah, it was right. It
like
was
anything,
like, oh my
right?
God. Yes, like anything. So again, it's not easy, but my dog was worth it. And the end result.
Everybody's dog's worth it. And 9 years for a dog that size is a long time. That's a full life.
Right, without a doubt. And I saved so much more money on the vet bills.
I'm sure. I was wondering if you had insurance when you said you got to go to the vet, got to go to the emergency.
I did. Yeah. I did. I had insurance.
People should get pet insurance. I don't realize. Yeah.
Absolutely. They should. Some companies don't. Like for me, I didn't get the company. I should have at that point, but I was like, you know what? I don't need it. But again, who knew how much I was going to spend on the wellness visits, because they're considered wellness visits.
And they cover
But I was
those?
Covered. No, I was covered for the surgery though.
Got it.
So I did get 90% back of $6,000 from the surgery.
That's a lot.
Which was so worth it.
Right.
So worth it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I would tell anyone that has a pet, definitely get insurance without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's like a person, you know? Right. But then 8 months later, like I said, he was healed. And that to me was like, oh my God, I need to really pay this forward. I need to share this with other people. And that's what I started to do. I asked my mentor, I said, I want you to mentor me. Is that possible? She's like, of course. Absolutely.
This was the holistic vet?
No, this is the woman who's in Seattle. She's in Seattle. She was my earth angel. She was the woman who taught me, the woman who had the website with colitis for dogs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Natural healing colitis for dogs.
Okay.
She's in Seattle. She's an angel, an earth angel. I will tell you, she's somebody who I thank God every day that she came into my life, because then eventually a couple of years down the line, she's helping me reverse my issue with my thyroid.
But she's not, is she a medical doctor?
No.
Okay.
She's studied with functional medicine doctors.
Oh, okay.
She's been doing this for over 30 years. She healed her own eczema naturally, which is she's now passed down that knowledge to me. She healed her own ulcerative colitis on her own. She's helped other people heal. She's helped pet owners. So I'm now blessed enough and grateful that she's now teaching me how to help others heal. She helps people with fertility issues. So a lot of what people are suffering from, it doesn't have to be that way.
Right. Here's a word from our sponsors. Looking to get into podcasting? Maybe to market your business for your own enjoyment, or because you have a message you want to get out there. One of One Productions is a New Jersey-based studio just over the George Washington Bridge that caters to the booming business of podcasting. They offer a comfortable atmosphere using the latest technology available to record your podcast. And they are a full-service media company offering both audio and video production services, creating both audio and video podcasts as well as video shorts for business and personal use. Professional audio equipment packages are available through their website for all budgets, and be sure to check out their podcast guesting kit, created specially for our listeners. Care for your health, care for the planet, and look flippin' great doing it. North Authentic is a conscious hair care marketplace offering the cleanest brands from around the world. Their pro stylists curate only the most fabulous non-toxic hair products with better-for-you shampoos, serums, masks, and more that actually give you gorgeous hair without hurting your health or the planet. Hey, you've only got one life, one planet, and one glorious mane. Might as well treat them all as best you can, right? Try a 100% clean hair care routine prescribed just for you using their link in the show notes. If you don't see a big, beautiful difference in how your hair looks and feels, you can tell them they're crazy. Do you battle chronic pain, stress, anxiety, or depression? Well, if you take any supplements or you're interested in natural alternatives, you need to know about findyourhealthyplace.com. Find Your Healthy Place has thousands of supplements to help you live a better quality of life, as well as natural solutions for chronic pain, stress, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, and much, much more. Need guidance? Use their live chat feature and talk to a wellness consultant right on their website. And be sure to use our coupon code TAEPodcast for all your purchases to get the best prices at findyourhealthyplace.com. Follow their links in the show notes to learn more about all of our sponsors. And now back to our show. Well, they
Doesn't
just,
have to be that way.
but our medical.
But there's no quick
I
fix,
have
though.
doctors who are clients of mine, so I don't want to insult too many people. But
No, absolutely.
doctors, they're kind of taught, right? You have a problem, take a pill. It's all traditional stuff. They don't think about holistic. That's why I tend to be more favorable towards DOs than MDs. I know the practices are merging now and the paths are merging, but they always seem to be better diagnosticians when it comes to holistic views of what's happening to you, right?
Agreed.
So don't just take
Agreed.
a pill, and maybe it makes your symptoms go away, but it might not fix you, and
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Right.
so it was really
And
the fortuitous nature of meeting this woman, finding her online that kind of put you on this path.
That's right. That's right. But honestly, with doctors, I used to, really be like, why do they automatically prescribe a med? But you know what? To their, I don't even know what the word is, but they don't know any better.
Right. Well, they're pushed by, of course.
And they
always
weren't taught.
Right.
If you ask a doctor how much they were taught in nutrition in all the years of school, it's about like maybe 2 to 3, maybe tops.
Right. There wasn't an important part of medicine as far as they were concerned.
It wasn't.
Right.
So for them, they were taught about medicine and surgeries, and that was the way to go.
Yeah. No, look, a lot of professions are like that. In the legal profession, most of us are really bad business people. We have to run practices, but we get no training to do it. Even doctors, that's why they merge a lot of times with hospitals. They're terrible business people when they don't get training. So it's not surprising that the industry is driven in a certain direction, because look, it's driven by insurance, it's driven by pharmaceuticals, it's driven by these, the flow of money. Unfortunately, that's really where. So all these homeopathic stuff, you're going to have to pay for it yourself. So a lot of people, they go to their doctor, it's covered by insurance. Look, insurance is paying the meds, I'll do it.
Right.
And they're not getting
better. That's the sad part.
Right.
It really is so sad that I never see one commercial on TV about changing your lifestyle.
Right.
And how much shifting it's the lifestyle. It's your diet. Yep. It's supplements. It's that are actually plant-based, because I am not one for any supplements that are man-made or chemically made. I focus on only whole food, plant-based supplements. Okay. It's sleep, it's water, it's your stress, it's movement, exercise.
Sure.
It's not just one piece. It's a like
holistic approach, right? Yeah.
Right. It's a holistic approach. And when I'm working with people, even with their pets, it's about the acid-alkaline diet. That's really the key. Our diets, even dogs, should be 70% alkalines and 30% acid. Yeah. You need the acidity. And also,
but some people have too much, right? It's too. There was a guy I met out of California, at a macrobiotic diet, and it was all about pH. Yes. All about green and pH, and that we're very acidic. We're too acidic.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Exactly. And it's because of it's our diet. It's the Western medicine diet, sugars, the preservatives. Sugar is another topic. We can have a whole.
Oh my God. You go to the supermarket, it might as well be a crack house when it comes to sugar.
Seriously.
It's in everything.
Right. And
all different things. You don't know what it is. It's just crazy.
Fructose, glucose. Yeah, it's all sugar. Without a doubt. But that is the sugar is the start of, it drops an inflammation bomb in your body. Literally.
Yeah.
It creates inflammation in your body. Inflammation is what creates many, many of the degenerative conditions in our body.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you know that I read somewhere that that the insurance industry spends twice as much on metabolic disorders, taking care of people, than the entire sugar industry makes in profit.
Right.
They could give half the amount of money to the sugar people, and they could just take the money and save half of what they spend, because we have metabolic problems. We have diabetes. We have, all this type of stuff.
Yes.
And we're all addicted to it, and it's not going away anytime soon, I mean, we're getting better at it, but still.
Right. But I work with people on really taking small, manageable steps.
Yeah, you have to, or it's never going to stick.
It's never going to stick. So it's really being on their map. It's where are they? What is a commitment that they can make to themselves on the journey that we're going to start?
Well, isn't that why all the New Year's resolutions fall apart? Because people bite off too much.
Exactly.
They're like, that's it. I'm going to the gym every day of the week.
Right.
Which
You
is not
have
good
a
for you
year.
anyway. But yeah.
You have a year to make
To
that full goal.
Ease your way in. Right.
Ease your way in. Start with even once a week.
Right.
That's beautiful. Even if you make a
100% more than you were doing before. Yeah.
Absolutely. Even if you make 1% of an improvement, that leads to big results. And I love the saying, small hinges swing big doors.
Yeah. There's a Japanese word, kaizen. Kaizen. It's about little changes make a big difference. It's the same type of concept. Yeah.
That's right.
There's business examples of that too. They make one little change in the company. They change one thing and everybody's kind of falling into place,
Right.
And it happens.
Right.
So are you still at this point? Are you still at the recruit? You still with the agency or doing recruiting?
I do it independently. I'm only
at this point where you started mentoring with
I was still doing, yes, because obviously I had to pay your bills.
Yeah,
of course.
Makes sense.
So I was still working full time, building my business with dog IBS. And I don't even call it a business. For me, it brings me so much joy.
Well, isn't that what it should be like? We don't feel like working a day in our life. That's what we're all looking for. Now, but at that point, though, you were kind of like, listen, you kind of saw that this is the road you're going on, right? When you don't have to pay your bills anymore doing this is going to be it for you. And you felt passion for it.
Yeah. And I said, okay, how do I do this? I don't even charge people for coaching them with their pets. So,
That's just a throw in, like you love the dogs. So you want to help them?
I love the dogs. I want to help them. I want to teach the pet owners to really heal their dogs, because then they're going to have a story to tell.
Yeah.
So they're going to have, and it's going to be, again, paying it forward to other pet owners.
Right.
So again, digestive issues. I see so many people that have dogs on thyroid medication.
Yeah.
And diabetes with the
metabolic disorders.
Dogs are actually getting the same disorders that we have.
Yeah. You think that's not a coincidence, right?
Wow. Yeah.
They're like living in our environment. They're eating our foods. We're processing it the same way, probably. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Probably,
exactly. Yeah. Yep. So fast forward
to what year?
To 2000. Well, starting with my story, I mean, it starts before my dog, but I had gone through my own health issues starting in my late 30s.
So before you had the dog?
Before I had the dog, I had already started on I went through premature ovarian failure at the age of 38.
Oh.
That put me into menopause.
Yeah.
And I was faced with the decision on, okay, you have 6 months to have a child. If you want to have one, you're going to have to do it within 6 months. And I'm like, what? I wasn't even with anybody. And I'm like, and I knew I always wanted to be a mom.
Right.
Because I always felt like I had that what's the word?
Nurturing personality.
Nurturing. Yes, completely.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I want to do it. And then I started to, do all the testing in the world. And the doctor was like, you're healthy, except your ovaries are not really, they're not functioning right. Now that I know what I know now, looking back then, how could I have been healthy if my ovaries were stopping?
Right. You obviously weren't.
I wasn't healthy.
Right. It's kind of an oxymoron type of a statement, right?
Correct.
Well, you're healthy except for the fact that your heart doesn't work. You're saying, well, then I'm not healthy.
Right. Even people with blood pressure and cholesterol.
Yeah.
There's cholesterol directly linked to your liver.
Yeah.
And your pancreas. So blood pressure connected to your kidneys. There's something not right there. You can reverse all of that. But so I was already experiencing a lot of things with my health. Then from there, I decided, I don't know what it was.
This was how many years ago?
I was 38. I'll be 51 next month.
So 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah. 20 something years ago.
13, 14. Yeah. Okay.
You're the mathematician.
Yeah. Well, we're 13 years ago.
Well, 13.
Yeah. 38, you said, right? And you're going to be 51. So that's 12, 13 years. That's
not 13 years ago.
From 38 to 51?
38 to 51?
Yeah.
Is that 13 years?
Yeah, 13. Okay. Maybe I'm a year over 14 years.
Okay. Yeah. Why do I
I'm
feel
not
like
a
it was
mathematician,
so
by the way. I just want to clear that up. My wife is, but I'm not.
Why do I feel like that was so much longer?
Seems like farther.
I feel like it was forever.
No, it was like 13 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just winded up going through all the testing, and I don't know what it was. I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to do this on my own. And I made peace with it, but I was still not feeling well.
Yeah.
I started to then developed adrenal fatigue, really, really bad. I was having a hard time concentrating. I was chronically fatigued all the time. I had body aches. I was irritable. Like they call, it's funny. They call adrenal fatigue the 21st century. I don't remember, there was a book about it, but it was something about the 21st century chronic disease that a lot of people have that aren't aware that they have it. So from my ovaries, obviously not working at this point now, my adrenals started to get, because again, it was also my hormones were
all connected.
Crazy. It's all connected. Absolute thyroid. Yeah. Everything is connected.
Right.
But it really does all start with your gut. Your gut health determines the health of your entire system. So I just, adrenal fatigue kicked in. And
I mean, did you have a bad diet? Were you a terrible eater? Were you not
really? No, but I was a smoker.
Oh, well, that doesn't help. Yeah.
I was a smoker. I didn't really, but again, coming from an Italian family, it was a lot of pasta. It was a lot of bread.
My wife's half Italian.
It was a lot of cold cuts. It was a lot of, processed foods.
Cured meats.
That's right.
Yeah.
And growing up in the 70s and in the 80s, that was normal.
Yeah,
that was
pasta
it.
And burgers. Yeah.
Yep. Going out, getting ice cream, this,
Bolognese.
that, sugar. Yeah. Absolutely. It's so delish, by the way.
It still can be good sometimes,
It's still, without a doubt,
I'm sure though, if you have a heavy meal, like an Italian meal, you probably feel awful later on, right? Because you're taking care of yourself and then you're just like, oh, I mean,
but you know what? I've also learned about mindful eating as well. I don't eat until I'm overly stuffed. I just eat until I'm satisfied. And that, because your stomach needs room to turn, the muscles in your stomach. So a lot of people, the reason why when they're eating until they're
gonna burst,
overly stuffed and burst, where they got to open up the buttons on their pants, that's when it becomes unhealthy.
Yeah. So, I always say there's nothing like tastes as good as feeling well.
Absolutely.
Like it's not worth
nothing
it.
Like it.
Because you always regret
really
it afterward.
Like it.
You always regret it.
You do.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it is, you feel like crap.
You know what's funny?
We all get sick. We overwhelm our bodies with food.
You know what's funny? Yeah. My brother, who had, he's fairly healthy, right? But started to teeter on having a blood pressure issue, the cholesterol, whatever. I said to him, you got to change your diet. And his wife, thank God, is someone who she cooks fairly, healthy.
Yeah.
So she was, making all healthy meals, but he was putting, at that point, he was having a nice big jug of coffee with literally like 6 teaspoons of sugar in there.
So the caffeine and the sugar and
the sugar.
His body's like on crack.
So so winds it up. He changed his diet, cut the coffee out, which he started to get headaches from. And I will tell you why people get headaches from stopping coffee. It's because when you drink coffee, it literally shrinks your blood vessels.
Makes sense.
There's not as much blood going through.
Right.
When you stop drinking coffee, your blood vessels start to open up.
You're getting a headache because the blood's coming in. Makes sense. But it goes away.
It goes away. It goes away after a few days.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Right. So he stopped doing that. And he lost 20 pounds.
Right. Just from eating well, not
just from eating well.
Yeah.
No. And I don't work with people on deprivation.
Right.
It's not about deprivation. It's about feeding your body high energy foods.
Right. But not too much, right? You got to learn to limit your portions. You can't be eating piles of pasta.
Absolutely not. No, there's a magic plate that I go over with people to really show them how to portion their plates out. The more veggies, the merrier. That's what I tell people all the time. Make it the color of the rainbow. But he winds it up for the holidays. He embellished my mom making, the struffelis and the zeppelis.
You guys go crazy.
We were going crazy.
Yeah.
It was like, forget it. We were on break. Winds it up. He was like, he tells me today, he goes, that I had gained 8 pounds during like November, December. And I said, really? He goes, I cut out everything again. He goes, and I lost it.
Yeah.
That's it. So really, it's also the key to weight loss, but also like there's other keys to weight loss, like it's not what you eat so much, it's who you're being when you eat when it comes to weight loss.
That's understandable. I think dieting shouldn't be an activity where you say, I'm going to diet and lose weight. You have to change your diet. You have to change the way you live and eat. Or else it'll come back. It's just going to come back.
Right. It's a whole food diet, basically. It's limiting, for me, it's limiting the white flour-based foods, the dairy. I completely, like, once in a blue, I'll have cheese, but dairy I cut out.
Yeah, dairy's not anything like mucusy, I think is not really good for you. No, it's beyond your mother's milk, but beyond that, yogurts and cheeses and it doesn't agree with me at all. Never has. I'm probably missing some enzymes. I can't really digest dairy fats. So I just, one day the doctor's like, yeah, I wouldn't eat that. I'm like, that's what you tell me? You poked me, you put me through an upper GI, lower GI, you tell me I should just not eat it. It's like, I can do that. If you
can't digest fats, that sounds like your gallbladder.
It might be. I don't know. Maybe. I still have that. My wife lost hers, but I still have my gallbladder.
Oh, thank God that you do. Don't ever get it removed.
Well, if it doesn't function, you have to. Because
you can actually help it function again. That's the thing. Any of your organs that are malfunctioning starts with your gut. 80% of all the systems in your body is directly connected to the gut. So the gut also is directly connected to the brain. There's a gut-brain axis. People that have anxiety or depression, when your gut is malfunctioning, that means there's going to be misfires to your brain. When there's misfires to your brain, it can kick off as anxiety, depression, asthma, an autoimmunity, a thyroid issue. Right. So, I
wish I met you 20 years ago. Well, 20 years ago, you weren't doing this. That probably wouldn't have worked. But my wife lost her gallbladder.
I wish I would have known her sooner.
You go to the GI guy and he's like, oh, you have gallstones. We got to take gallbladder. You don't know.
You don't know any better. And that's the reason why I want to share this with the world, because I want people to know better. I want people to open up their perspectives to a new inspiration or a new possibility of naturally healing. So, and then the adrenal fatigue kicked in for me. Adrenal fatigue, I just, because again, I was going through menopause and I had every symptom under the sun, the hot flashes, the night sweats, the irritability. I had gained weight. I was just not happy. My sleep was off. I was waking up in the middle of the night, couldn't fall back to sleep again. And sleep again is another crucial part of the pie.
People don't sleep well, they're a mess. I mean, you can't, when you have kids and you don't remember what you're yelling about and the kids pooping and peeing and you could live without food and water for a little while, no sleep, forget it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It's directly related to your hormones. So in that being said, I went the bioidentical hormone replacement route at that point.
What's that?
Because I had read, it's basically because I knew I was losing estrogen. I was losing progesterone.
Right.
My cortisol level was through the roof. That's the reason why I really could not handle stress at all at that point. And my job was very stressful. My job itself was very stressful. And so for me, I wanted in thinking that, so bioidentical hormone replacement is basically where they get your blood and they make these synthetically made hormones in a compounding facility that you start to make that are supposed to match what you're losing.
Okay. So they need your blood test to figure out what you're missing?
Yeah. Like estrogen was my issue, progesterone, and my cortisol level again was through the roof.
Right.
So I had read a famous actress's book on that. And that's where it gave me, I'm like, okay, that sounds natural to me. I'm going to give it a go. And I'm going to try that. And I also tried Chinese herbs. I tried Chinese medicine. That it subsided my symptoms, but my levels of my hormones were still through the roof and still depleted. So it really was only masking. It wasn't healing me.
Yeah, you weren't at this point coaching other people. You were still trying to figure out your own problems.
I was still trying to figure out my own. I was still a recruiter. And then and then when I started to, I went for my wellness exam, and my doctor was like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, why can't I lose this weight? I was 151 pounds and I'm 5'3". That was for me.
Heavy. It's obese.
That's heavy. It's obese.
And you're short.
I didn't feel good, and I'm short. Exactly. So, I said to my doctor, "I'm on this, and this." He goes, "Wait a minute." Because he asked me, "Are you taking, Tylenol or Advil?" And I go, "No." Why? He said, "Your liver enzymes are through the roof."
Is that a good thing?
That's a bad thing.
Liver enzymes bad, right? Because that's bad. Also a side of alcoholism and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, exactly. Fatty liver, all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, "No, doc, I don't take Tylenol ever. I don't any of that." So he looked at what I was taking and he goes, "There it is." I was taking something that had hydrocortisone in it. That was for my cortisol level, but it also, because of the steroid component, it was building in my liver.
Steroids, the liver breaks that stuff down, right?
But you know what? Steroids, it can't.
Yeah.
Steroids literally attaches itself to your fat tissues in your body. That's why a lot of people gain weight when they're on steroids.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right. And it really does a number to your liver and kidneys because it doesn't wash out of the body.
Right.
So I said, all right. Then at 2 years of doing that, I said, that's not the solution. And at that point, I stopped doing anything because I was like, all right, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. It'll come to me at one point.
Just
whatever
because you're frustrated.
I was frustrated, very, and I was tired, and I was unhappy at that point. I think that was probably the most unhappiest I've been in my whole life, was that period in my life. And then I woke up one morning. Now I had nodules on my thyroid that were under control for I think it was 3 years at that point. I just kept getting a sonogram to check up on them. And they were always, same size, very minimal, very small. One morning I woke up and I felt my throat was very hoarse, and the body aches before that had gotten really bad, especially at night.
Right.
And I felt my throat and I felt lumps on in my throat coming out, and you were able to see them.
These are on your vocal cords?
On my throat. Yeah. My thyroid. Yes.
Okay.
So I got really scared. I called my doctor. He got me in immediately. He sent me for blood work and a sonogram, and I had developed a mass on my thyroid. Also the nodules, 6 nodules that were under control for 3 years now, had grown exponentially to a point where they were over 4 centimeters.
So was it something you were taking?
So at this point, I had linked because again, I was trying to do things naturally. So I knew that women that are going through menopause, you should, and this is what my mentor had told me, you should eat a certain amount of soy, right, throughout the week, but have it come from a food source. Now, me being busy all the time, I was like, let me look up natural soy, fermented soy. And I got a supplement. From April to August, taking that soy blew up the enzymes. And when you look up soy and nodules, it literally, even if you have a cyst in your body, but then I really don't know where the mass came from, but I kind of linked it all together. Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, I stopped taking the soy. And then my doctor was like, I said, okay, doc, what do I need to do here? Oh, and my thyroid was malfunctioning at this point. So now not only are my adrenal glands malfunctioning, my ovaries are completely, my reproductive system was done. Now I'm dealing with the thyroid issue. And the mass and nodules. And the mass and nodules really scared me because I thought, like many people probably do, cancer.
Right.
So my doctor was like, I want you to go to an endocrinologist and I want you to have a biopsy done. And I said, well, okay. I said, why do I have to go to an endocrinologist? He said, he's going to put you on thyroid medication. I said, doc, it's not what I want to do. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, doc, there has to be a way naturally to fix this. And I made the appointment for both because I was scared. So winds it up 3 days later, after I made the appointment, a light bulb went off and my gut was telling me call my mentor. She's got the solution here. I said to myself, she's helped so many other people heal naturally. There's got to be a solution for this. And thank God I did. So she told me what to do, which was, again, completely clean my diet, remove dairy, red meats, white flour-based foods, any inflammatory-based foods out of my diet, sugar, reducing all my sugar intake, which, again, I really didn't eat a lot of sugar, but sugar just creates inflammation in your body. I started the ramp up process, right, with the supplements, the whole food supplements. And I gave myself 3 months of a mark, and I canceled the appointments with the biopsy and the doctor. Because I said, if this doesn't work in 3 months, I'm going to figure out something else. I will listen to my doctor at this point.
You wanted to give it a shot. And you really met her because of the IBS with your dog.
Right. That's how I met her originally. Right. So then every morning I was waking up. And this was a mixture of the probiotics, the enzymes that are microblended with the algae component that is my vitamins, minerals, and has 8 amino acids in it that your body doesn't even make. Right. And also proteolytic enzymes, which I used to shrink the mass and nodules. So a month later, I woke up and I couldn't feel the lumps anymore.
Just a month?
A month. And I lost 12 pounds at that point. And I was like, oh my God, this is the solution. I gave it the 3 months. So from August to December, I went back to the doctor, got another sono and blood work, and my thyroid was back to normal. And the mass and nodules had shrunk by more than half their size.
Was he amazed?
He was amazed. And he said to me, what are you doing? I told him, I said, Doc, I was so excited. Let me help your patients. Let me work with, I can help them. And he's like, oh, and he was like, he pushed back on it. Right. And again, fine. That's when I started working on my book, Healing Through Nature's Medicine, A Story of Hope. That's on Amazon and on my website. Okay. And because I wanted to share that with the world.
Yeah, we'll put a link for the book in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you. And that's when I started to study to become a health coach and a life coach.
And that's really good because you had the epiphany of this works and you solved all those problems. And now your weight's good, your thyroid's good.
And 3 months later, when I went back to the doctor, I had lost 24 pounds at that point.
There's another 3 months. So that was 6 months now.
No, it was in that from August to December. I lost, 12 pounds in the first month because I had weighed myself. When I went back to the doctor on that 4th month, I had lost 24 pounds.
So 90 days really does a lot if you're really diligent about it.
Without a doubt. And my energy after that first month started coming back. By that 4th month, my clarity, my brain was clear. I felt more focused. My concentration came back. I felt more confident in my body. I started to love myself again, and then a year later, when I went back for my wellness, the mass and nodules were completely gone. And I have that at the back of my book. I included my blood work and my sonograms because I want people to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then you really decided I'm going to make this a business and I'm going to help people.
Yes.
So how did you start building the business? How do you find people and how do they find you? And I mean, you found this woman in Seattle on your own.
Yep.
She didn't have a billboard up or send you an email, right?
Absolutely. For me, it was about networking.
Okay.
It was about
meeting people, telling your story.
Absolutely. Okay. Meeting people, telling my story. Also doing workshops.
Yeah.
I do workshops with a wellness facility. I actually did a workshop on the effects of sugar on your body and how to kick the sugar craving and the sugar habit.
Yeah, that's probably a popular one.
Without a doubt, because you create your own sugar cravings in your body. But again, that's another story.
But it's a little bit of society, right? It's how you're raised and you don't say when you're a little baby, hey, you want to eat sugar? You shouldn't eat sugar. It's like you do. You get candy. It's Halloween. You're right. I mean, that's the whole thing.
My mom used to give me the chocolate milk in the bottle.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola. We all grew up on soda, and then it's all about, I started to build my website. Mm-hmm. I started to use Google to really try to attract more people to my site. I built out my LinkedIn, profile, my Facebook page, my Instagram page, and I try to post as much educational information for people about naturally healing their body and how you can heal your body. So now, and thankfully, I also have once a month, I'm on a radio show called with Joan Herman. It's called Conversations with Joan, The Answer. And that's on New York's AM 970 radio station. And I'm on once a month giving tips on different topics.
Right.
Like this past month. Yeah. This past month, it was on how to beat the winter blues.
Okay. Now, how did you get on that show? Did you meet Joan or somebody introduced you or networking, or how did that happen?
I sent her a LinkedIn message.
Okay, good.
And I told her I was very impressed with her background. I knew she had a book club and I wanted to get my book on her book club, which I did.
Yeah, writing a book as a business person is a good thing, especially if you have something you're passionate about. And you have, it's not just something you're passionate about. You have a case study of yourself.
Yes.
It says, here, look at my blood, look at my, look at all of my tests.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget when I went back to the vet, he had told me, I was like, see, doc, you see what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I was only quack, right?
No, actually he said, keep doing the magic you're doing. That's what he said to me. So I was like, that's exactly what I'm doing. And, thankfully he was great for 9 years. So, for 5 years after that. So, but yeah, that was really what propelled. Now it's like, but you don't think the vet changed
the way he does his business?
Absolutely not. No way. I actually even was trying to talk to him about trying this and really trying to implement more of this and really helping. If you think about it,
if he heals too many dogs, he's not going to have patience to come in.
Right. But do you know that I actually worked for him for 3 months because I was trying to get him to have that buy-in. And the only thing that was the saddest thing for me to walk away from was to see how many dogs were on medications.
Right. And you knew you could help them.
We're on antibiotics. Right. We're on these thyroid meds. We're having to come in to get their livers checked every month.
Right.
It was terrible.
But the only way to help them, though, is you got to coach their owners.
Yes.
And teach them how to. Right, exactly.
Yes. Correct. Yeah, that's really what it
So have you worked with people throughout the world now because of Zoom and things like that? You don't have to be next to them, right?
No, absolutely not. I can work with anyone, anywhere. Right now, I've never, I did have the opportunity to work with a woman in London. And we were working to heal her dog from irritable bowel syndrome, which we did. But again, I can work with people anywhere. And I love it because it's a personal connection you have, even though we're not meeting in person. Right. But again, I can see them, they can see me, they can meet me. And I can, again, share my story with them and hopefully change their perspective.
Okay. Well, I got to go home now and boil my chicken for the dogs and get them all ready. We got 2 that are 13.
Don't boil it, steam it.
Oh, steam it. Okay. One's got one actually, the little one, she went blind. She got glaucoma, like a lot of these little dogs. So, between you and me, the dog doesn't drive children to school. So I wasn't going to spend $10,000 to have her little lenses changed. So we're giving her drops and, diet and the whole thing. But now she's had an ablation. So she didn't have to get all the drops because she's so uncomfortable. She walks into some things, but she's fine. She's happy now. She's not getting 17 drops a day. But she still does have a lot of skin allergies. She's always itching, and we've changed her diet. So maybe we'll talk about this offline and figure. Even though she's 13, it's probably
it doesn't matter. I've worked with dogs. Absolutely, it doesn't matter. I've worked with dogs 10, 13. It doesn't matter. It's because maybe sometimes it takes this long. Yeah. And allergies are directly related to the gut. So
right, and especially with dogs, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what it kicks off as.
Yeah.
Your dog doesn't have enough enzymes in his or her body. That's where it starts to kick off as either it'll start with environmental allergies and then kick off into food allergies.
Makes sense. Well, I thank you for coming on the show. We'll put in the show notes so people can get in touch with you, read about all the stuff you're putting out, whether it's for their pet or for themselves, because I know a lot of people that have a lot of problems with their digestive systems and their thyroids and I told you my wife has thyroid issues since she gave birth. That's really when it started. and then lost her gallbladder and all. Well, you weren't there, so we couldn't do anything about that.
I can still help her.
You have to fix her. Yeah. You gave me her book. You gave me your book. We have that.
Yes. Good. I'm happy. Please have her read it because I would love to talk to her. Absolutely.
Well, Emanuela,
thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me, and have a good weekend. Stay safe and healthy, and stay away from coronavirus.
Seriously. Coronavirus is afraid of me, by the way.
Probably. You're the solution.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Thankfully, I haven't gotten it. So,
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you like the podcast, please tell others about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Amazon Music, and many of the other podcast directories. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and feel free to share our episodes on social media. If you have any questions or comments, ideas for the show, or you'd even like to appear as a guest, reach out to us by email at info@beinhackerlaw.com. The Accidental Entrepreneur is hosted and produced by me, Mitch Beinhacker. If you'd like more information about my legal services, you can find me on social media or visit my website at beinhackerlaw.com. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our feed to be notified of all future episodes.